if I could get 3,000 independent guys and show them how to run the best ATM program for them, it would actually put them in a competitive advantage place against the big guys.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your hosts. Today, we have the privilege of having with us Kurt, and I should have asked him, Karjalainen.
Karjalainen, yeah.
Karjalainen. Kurt Karjalainen, the only person with the last name that's harder to say than my own. I am delighted to have you on the show, Kurt. Kurt is with PMG, which is
Premier Merchants Group.
Premier Merchants Group. The key is that they're the ones who give you the ATM there in your store and manage your credit card processing, but like have your own thing, your own stuff going, and really in a hometown feel instead of the big major corporation feel. This one, every single one of the people know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, are there to care from you from the moment you call for help. So really love having you on, Kurt. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah.
Like we always love to do on this show, we want to hear just a little bit. Why did you get started in this line of business first?
I was in college, actually, and the state of Nebraska had opened up for on-screen surcharge. So Nebraska was actually one of the last states to allow for surcharging, which is pretty common now. And I had a paper that I'd written on the topic and kind of looked into it. And there was a local company that had got into the business, and it was Premier Distributing at the time. I started talking to the guys that own that company and learned a little bit more about what they're doing. I was like, I think that's a pretty smart idea. So we started with one ATM machine in August of 1999, actually just down the street from where I'm at, maybe a block and a half away, at a place called Kearney Liquor, which was also a gas station. And we put an ATM machine in there. We did the cash management on it, and it worked. And we were, because there wasn't really anybody else here because of the surcharge not being allowed. It was kind of an untapped market. Before, it was only banks that really could participate in the ATM game in Nebraska. And so we started with that. We had been in the payphone business and phone card business, so we had some contacts with convenience stores, and that's still been pretty much our lifeblood. We really do. Well, we do a lot of other businesses. The majority of our business, probably 90%, are gas stations or truck stops still today.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, you were in college at the time. Were you already married, or were you in the single realm?
Definitely still the single realm.
Okay, so she knew what she was getting into when she married you.
We dated in college, and then she decided to move to California, and I did my best sales job ever and got her to move back. So we've been
I
married ever
love it.
since.
Every entrepreneur has to learn how to sell, and you had your moment to shine. Hey, well, that's really neat. I mean, you guys have been around for 25 years. You are proven, and you're across pretty much every state across the U.S. You're in. You're doing the work, and able to service and do just a great job with it. How'd you get there? Like, after you get so many accounts and you get so big, you hit your million. What are some things that have really helped you continue to grow and continue to maintain and do the things that you care about post that threshold?
Um, my dad owned a garbage company growing up, and so I watched my dad grow a business, and then have to sell that business to a large company. Waste Management actually is the one that bought him. Nothing against large corporate, but I don't know. I really started out our company as I took over and bought out my partners. Wanted to build a business that helped the independent stay independent. And I think that's kind of been our underlying mission that we did in our company. We said, I think we could make good money, but I don't think we have to have the 7-Elevens of the world to do business with. And I think it's detrimental to our bottom line and to have to deal with a large corporate entity. I saw how they would request for proposal and the cash up front and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? If I could get 3,000 independent guys and show them how to, run the best ATM program for them, it would actually put them in a competitive advantage place against the big guys. It's the ATM is like the one product that the little guy can make more money on, because 7-Eleven is never going to let their manager own and load their own ATM machine. So we really just said, hey, listen, we're going to educate the convenience store individual, and if they want us to do everything, we can show them how much money they can make, or we can show them how to do everything, and really make a significantly larger piece of the pie. And so we we thought it was a good idea. We started talking to other companies that were selling to independents, wholesale companies that pretty much sell everything in a convenience store, and said, hey, why don't you guys partner with us? We've got a product here that's the most revenue driven per square foot in any convenience store, which was the ATM machine. And some of the hot dog guys will say it's those roller dog machines, but I really do think it's the ATM machine. And so anyway, long and short of it, we agreed that this was a good thing to get these independent guys to run their own ATM machines, see that revenue come into their store, help them stay competitive, and just simply more expensive than the other guy if the big guys came to buy them out. And so, I we've kind of just kept doing that. And we've looked at other products. We've used some credit card processing. Most of that is actually with the convenience stores also. For locations that go unbranded, we'll do their pay at the pump. We'll help them manage their credit card processing. We don't do a ton of just regular retail credit card processing. It's mostly in the convenience store space. And once again, we really wanted to help those guys manage what can be a very expensive and very difficult product to run. And the ATM and the credit card processing both kind of fit into what was our. It created enough value and enough. It was difficult enough that they definitely needed our services, and we thought that we brought enough value to them that it was worth the price that they paid for it. So that's kind of been our MO.
All right. So to unpack that a little bit, one of the key things you did, first of all, in line with your kind of purpose and the mission that you have is this: I want to help the independent really make it. Like that there's a way they can do it and they can do some things better than some of the big boys on an independent, on a per store basis. And so serving that, you didn't go broad to anyone and everyone who wants your services, and you're chasing anyone who could use. You're like, it's these convenience stores. We're going to focus. And you didn't just do ATMs. You started to see other needs. How could we educate? How could we make it cleaner? Or in other words, how do we serve that mission, helping them succeed? So we become integral and vital to their success, right? I
Yeah,
want to be in there. I want to be a player with them. And, you know, you don't need to have, 10,000 clients in one state. You just need the right clients in any state because you've got the infrastructure to manage everywhere. And you just serve that right client with everything they need in this arena. That's kind of fair, right? You honed
yeah,
in. You
yeah.
got tight
That's
on your strategy.
yeah. And we really, there's a lot of companies that will try and do, be everything to everybody. We pretty quickly realized, like, in this vertical here, there's some things they really need. They used to be tech support was very popular, outsourced, and so somebody would call up trying to fix their ATM machine. It was very important over the 4th of July weekend that customers were able to get cash to go to the baseball game or whatever they're going to, and so they just couldn't be down. And so, well, that got maybe that call center was outside of the U.S. and maybe language barrier was a problem. There was just a lot of things where they literally call up somebody and they'd have this the tech support, even if it was in Montana, they had to go through step by step. We had to find out all this information, and when they call us, we knew who they were, and we knew We'd installed that ATM machine. We knew where they were. We had a pretty good idea, and we could really quickly get to the problem and help them, fix that problem most of the time right over the phone. So we weren't sending somebody, waiting for Armored to come out and open the machine. And there was just, we service people that were rural. That we have ATM machines in Oshkosh, Nebraska, and we have ATM machines, you name it, all over the place. And we knew that if they had run their ATM business like most people did, they were at a very competitive disadvantage of having that ATM sit down for a great amount of time. And the worst time you could have that ATM down, it was always when that ATM is going to go down. It is those holiday weekends. It is those really busy times of the year where there's a ton of traffic on the road, that are all utilizing that ATM machine. That you're gonna have that downtime. So we thought we'd found a niche, and I think we've kind of proven over the last 25, 26 years that we have.
Yeah, it sounds like you have. Uh, it's a great nugget. What else would you share? It sounds like your team might be a little unique compared to the way others are. I mean, you've niched down into where your team seems designed to solve the whole problem instead of just be the efficient. Right. That's why people outsource services. They think it'll be more efficient. We'll get these remedial problems solved when really you're just frustrating your customers. But what did you have to do? Maybe around your team or around maybe some other area of business that's really helped you. Share one more nugget with us.
Um, I, I got a Cashway. It's a food distribution company based right here at Kearney, Nebraska. I think they're the 19th largest broadline food service company in the United States. And that's who we very quickly partnered up with. As we got into the ATM business, me and my old partners, uh, we realized, like, geographically, it was going to be tough. We're going to run out of space, how far we could go. And we had done phone cards with this company, Cashway, and they have a number of sales reps. They're walking into convenience stores every day, taking orders, and they really had those relationships. And that was a big piece, is figuring out, like, who has the relationship with that end customer, and then how could we show them that actually the most valuable thing they have is that relationship. It's not a lot of people think it's all the SKUs that they sell and the prices and all of that stuff. And we quickly learned that, like, those Cashway sales reps and Cashway management, that what they had was of most value was those relationships. And they'd been selling Snickers bars, to You Save Mart, for 15, 20 years. And when they said, "Hey, we've got somebody here that also you should talk to," boy, they just listened. And being able to utilize that relationship, and then, with trials, through the years, realizing that all of those relationships are tied together. Well, right now we've got, I don't know, 2,000 owners, let's say, or something like that, that own 3,000 locations that we do business with. All of those locations are generally tied back to that wholesaler, like that got us that original relationship. And if we didn't take care of each one of those locations as if they were a chain, because of their tie back to that wholesale relationship that we ended up getting that ATM through. So those made us step up our game, made us take care of each customer, because we knew every customer within that, that was brought to us, is up for grabs if we don't take care of the individual as if they were a massive group. So Cashway really taught us how. They're like, "Hey, listen, you can't, you know you can't not answer the phone. You can't not." There's just a lot of things that we learned through trial and error about taking care of a customer, answering, calling them back, making sure that we were definitely getting the information we needed and take care of them in a timely basis, that we weren't going to jeopardize our relationship with Cashway, which would really bite the hand that fed us, because it was really those sales reps that were out there in the market. And if they would learn pretty quick, if we weren't taking care of their existing customer, they were not going to bring us any more customers. And so that was a pretty tough thing to learn when I was 22 years old and thought I knew everything. And so, yeah, that would be something that I would definitely say that we learned early, and it it's great that now my team, knows that we built that story like, hey, listen, we take care of every single customer we have, because every single other customer we have is in some way just about tied to that. So you can put a, a chart together that pretty much links every single one, as we pull them in and take care of them. So that's probably something.
Well, and I mean, you said it a little offhand, but you found a channel partner. You found somebody who just knew that space, and it probably cost you a piece of your revenue.
Yes.
Um, but you didn't have to build that distribution channel. I mean, you didn't have to build the whole thing out. You didn't have to figure all of that out. You didn't have to go through that war. Instead, you found someone who didn't just help you get in, but helped you learn to succeed within this space. What a great partner.
Yeah,
Right?
they have been amazing. Now we've got about 15 broadline food service wholesalers across the country, and really that's who we work with. I mean, that's who
Yeah.
we work for in some real ways. And certainly they are bringing such value to us. We obviously have to incentivize them to do that, and they own a piece of that, and they are risking those relationships by bringing them to me. So they need to be. Incentivized to do that. I mean, that is a risk. When
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had,
It's their name. It's
it's
their
their
name.
name. It really is. And that starts it. And then I believe we bring real value to their name, and it's because of those trial and error early on that we learned how to take care of a customer right, and the leverage that a wholesale gave us, those relationships they
Hmm.
gave us, also can get you in real trouble if you don't respect that. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that is a big piece of what we have brought. And then those wholesalers told other wholesalers about what we've done for them and for their customers, and how we've helped them uh, keep those. It's not just the money that we brought to them, and that was always good. We certainly, but once again, keeping those independents independent meant they were buying from those wholesalers, because
Yeah.
those, if they get bought up by 7-Eleven, guess where they don't buy from anymore? They don't buy from Cashway. They self distribute. So we had a mutual vested interest to make sure that these guys stayed independent, and that those independents, if somebody was for sale, they were it was getting bought within the network, and we
Yeah.
were
No.
still going to service them, and they were still going to purchase their sunflower seeds from Cashway, or a lot of these other companies that we work with.
Yeah. Mutually beneficial relationships that can serve our customers better than us building everything. So you think about your business model, right? You've got to create a value from resources and processes and people that you have, right? You've got to
Mhm.
create a value that gets delivered to your customers. There has to be a channel that they learn about. There has to be some way that it gets serviced, the way that they receive that value at the end. And sometimes we think we've got to do it all ourselves. And it starts to get more and more difficult to expand doing everything by yourself. Being the right, like you yourself probably don't build your ATM machines. You've learned
Yeah.
that there's someone else you can buy that from,
Yes.
right? That you're not trying to build it. You don't have to be vertically integrated in the whole thing. Well, you also don't have to deliver them, or you don't have to place them. You don't have to be the sales channel. If you instead are the ones who know the customer in and out and how to service and ensure that item and these services deliver value to your customers, do the piece you do well and build great partnerships for the rest if you want fast growth on there. But careful with those partnerships. I'm sure you've been bitten at some point in one of those partnerships. You don't have to
Definitely.
name them, but we all
No.
have, right?
Yeah.
It's just like hiring an employee, just at a higher leverage point. So uh, be careful. Make sure there's a good fit, mutually beneficial. But what a great insight. Thank you, Kurt, for sharing that. I think those are some great nuggets for growth. Now,
Yep.
now that you're at this phase and you've got a lot of things happening, you've got product going across all the U.S. How do you manage your own growth? What bumps are you running into now? Because success in the entrepreneur world, all overcoming a challenge really does is get us to see the next bigger challenge. So what's the new one you're facing? And maybe we can be of help now.
I mean, certainly, when you've been in it for 26 years, I just like 20, like August 22nd or something like that, launched my 26th year in the business. Um, Understanding, letting my team continue to make mistakes, even if I know the answer, like seeing the importance of that, letting them work through the problem, letting them grow, not used to be everything, like I was a big personality. I was the face of the business. But it was also like with everything had to go through me, there's just so much bandwidth that you have. And it was, I was burning the candle at both ends. I was really, it was becoming tougher and tougher. And I really hadn't given my team license to go answer the question on their own. And the more I did that, the more I've handed over the company and really empowered my employees and partners, I guess, in this really to make mistakes and understand, putting together the incentive, the proper pay structure, incentivization to take some hits if they hit the company, and understanding those, and then just structure of that was something that was very difficult to work through, and we've really got a pretty good product now too. But also now I'm on the other side of that. I'm like, there isn't much they need me for, and I was like that worked some, I'm still looking for kind of the next level of like, okay, do I bring somebody else in to run a portion of this company? It runs pretty well, but yeah, like I guess we're kind of at another stage where are we gonna am I going to hand over everything? What does tomorrow look like to my team, and they make that decision, and then I just kind of walk behind, and because honestly, they're in the market more than I am.
Yeah.
I took some time away. I went and got my pilot's license and did some other things, and now it's kind of like I've kind of come back in, and I'm in the business more today, and I just see that the company as a whole doesn't need me as much, and so maybe some insecurities on my side. But yeah, there's kind of competing things with, I think they want me to still be involved, and they respect what I say, but also they've got some really good ideas. And I think just because we've always done what we've always done, and we've done well and it's grown well, doesn't mean we always need to be doing that. And so I think that they're you know for the longest time I worked you know out of the business, on the business, but not in the business. And I think that there's going to be we're just kind of figuring out what tomorrow looks like, and what
Yeah.
we took some chances with Bitcoin, some cash to Bitcoin terminals, did some stuff like that. And mostly that was on me, and it didn't go real well. I mean, we lost some money there. What is the next thing? What's the next product? Do we just do what we've always done well? Are we going to add something different? We're looking at some other products, and just understanding what we should do next would probably
Okay.
be.
So I heard 17 questions and 15
Sorry.
solutions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few in front of you, because
Okay.
what we really want is clarity, right? We want to know, what are we doing next. So let me get some clarity here. Do you want to spend more time understanding how to better let go and enable your team to succeed and fail, but to succeed and become the leaders they need to become? Is it that? Or is it, do you want to have greater clarity of, what do I do? If $200 an hour work is what you used to do, then as you were leading your business, you were doing $2,000 an hour work. What do I do to do $20,000 an hour work? What's that look like?
Hmm.
Is that what you want to play with? Um, uh, or is it different? Is it, how do I transition out of my business? Which of the three do you want to talk about? I heard those three as kind of ones that you were bouncing around in there.
All right.
Which of those three would you like to talk about while we're on the call?
I don't want to transfer out of the business. The business has been great. I
Great.
mean,
So hiring someone to run it isn't your thing.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think I'm
Okay.
48. I'm not quite ready
All
to.
right.
All
So
right,
then we're down to two.
we're
What's
down to
the
two.
next level work I can do? Highest value add, or how do I more effectively enable my team, let go of things, and help them succeed and learn rapidly to become the leaders we need them to become? Which of those two do you want to play with?
B. Let's go with yeah that last
Okay,
one.
we're building the future generation. We're getting them to, which is key. And I want to be clear. There was a little bit of a catch in there because that is $20,000 an hour work,
Yes, yes.
right? That's what that is. You could take what you have today and double or triple it, and think what that does the revenue wise and where that goes. I think, oh, if I spend my time doing the right work, my team can really do so much more than they've ever been able to, than I've ever let them do, or that they had capability yet. Right? They may have had capacity, but may not have learned how to. So let's play with this. Uh, First off, could you tell me what I mean, you shared a little bit of the impact you love to have to help the independent really make it out there. That's kind of cool. Uh, how much more of there is there to do of that work? Do you look out at the landscape and say, there's like we're saving, let's pick a number out of that. What number did you share? 3,000 independent shops, 2,000 owners today. Are there another 5,000 out there, or have you capped the market?
Oh no, yeah. There's a. I mean, we add probably 200 ATMs a year,
Okay.
every year. Pretty. I mean, just trade shows,
Just the typical.
wholesalers. Just the. I mean, and a lot of it's recurring existing customer referral. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah,
And they're
we
picking up another location or whatever else. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. So you say market share, there's plenty to gobble up still. There's plenty of opportunity before the big boys gobble up those locations. We can help the independents stand strong. You still see that. And is that a draw to you to say, let's go from 3,000 to 10,000? Let's help
Yeah,
10,000.
yeah. I, I, I was
Which,
competitive.
by the way, is a totally
I
different
love to win.
experience.
Yeah, I
It,
wrestled in college. I was a two-time All-American. Like winning is fun.
okay.
I don't like to lose. So yes, absolutely. I'd love to continue to win. So yes, yeah,
Okay. So let's pretend for now that we have a mission. So if a purpose is help the independent make it and thrive on their own, we can do key things to help them win. And and maybe it's just maintain independence. Like we love independence, we serve independence and freedom or something. Like it could be
mhm,
so lofty, it has nothing to do with your industry, but a purpose like we love the independent spirit, and we want to build that across all of the US or maybe other countries. Great. So we've got this thing. Then if we come down in and we get this mission of 10,000 more locations that can remain independent because of the work we do, that we support them. 10,000 total locations. We've got 3 today, we're going to 10. And we want to do that by and we're going to push this and push it hard. Let's say we're going to do this by the end of 2028. Now that's a lot more growth than you've been playing with.
that would be a lot more. Yeah,
That would be a lot. I'm not saying that's what it is. Your team's got to come up with it. But let's say we're clear about that vision. And one other thing that I want to be clear about, because when you're doing $20,000 an hour work, clarity is your biggest currency. Okay. It's the most powerful currency you have is clarity. So you know, and your team knows, and they don't wonder where they're supposed to go. The other piece of clarity is how we go about making decisions here. Not just a process, but the fundamental values you base decisions on. Because there's a Kurt way that has made it so some of your employees are there still and some are not because they could not do it the Kurt way. Is that fair?
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Name one or two of those values. Give me a top. Be like, here's one of the things. If you're not this, you can't work here.
Uh, we're working with other people's money. we have to be 100% honest. Like we have to,
Okay.
even when it hurts. Like
I
you
love
made
it.
a mistake. Like you just nobody's gonna trust. Like the average convenience store, we're moving $3,000-4,000 a day of their money. And it's they've got to know that what we say is
Great.
yeah
Well, let's take this 100% honest, period.
that's it
in,
yeah
in everything. I don't care how small it is. I don't care if it's not about the money. I don't care if it's about what you think I said.
Mhm.
Ego's out, honesty's in, period. Right.
That's
And that's just something you got.
yeah
Beautiful. Um, Now, when you're going to be working with your team to hand things off, we always want to know the answer of how much can I let them fail? Right? Like,
yeah
I know they have to fail to learn. Uh, I would just say that in the area of vision, they can't. They can have a mistake, but they can't hold on to it. So let's say if their choices are ones that will hurt the independent and make you a lot of money, they're out.
yep yep.
If they are ones um, who will win at all cost, even if they have to kind of skirt those rules just a little bit, they're out, no matter how much money they would have made you. If they're the kind of person who is lovable and fits in all of those things, but doesn't have the drive to go after the 10,000 with you by the end of 2028, that they would rather just ride smooth. I can't afford their kinds of errors to get in the way. So I have to be careful with some of those. So if vision is leading, there are other mistakes they can make. There are mistakes that you as a company be like, okay, we may lose a client over this, but we'll own it. We'll let everyone know we're owning it. We'll move forward with it, and it won't have broken the client. It may have upset them, but we'll pay to make up for it. You're basically paying for education for the person. I think that's okay. Like when I look at it and I look at my team members, so Kurt, you've got, maybe a dozen people, uh, 10, 12 people, something like that. Not a huge team.
Mm,
Every one of them counts. You know the cost of hiring one bad person in and them not working out and you going through this whole thing and losing them, right? Or the cost of keeping one who's incompetent, filling their seat and messing things up over and over again, right? They're like, that's no good. I can't afford to let anybody continue to make the same mistakes. That doesn't work. But for them to make calculated risks perfectly in line with the vision of where we're going, and we see how they're living the things just the way we would have, and making an honest try the way we would have had we not the same knowledge we have today, but in line with the vision, then they have shown initiative. That's highly valuable. And that cost of that one mistake is a whole lot cheaper than replacing an employee and training them up again. And they've just become a better employee. In fact, they're now worth whatever, 300 an hour for me instead of 200 because they'll never make that mistake again. They've seen it, they've learned it, and I require one more thing from them. Now that you've learned, build a process that will never mess that up again. Show me you learned it. It's like writing that research paper afterwards that got you into the business in the first place. I want them to write the SOPs, explain why it happened, show what we can do differently, present that, and then we'll adopt it or tweak it and then adopt it. And I want you training it to everyone else. No one could train it like you could. You just got burned. I want you to teach everyone. So that's a tip, a way you could approach it with a small team like this, that they can make mistakes, but why? If we have if there's an SOP, they should follow it. That's not a mistake. That's going against the rules.
mm,
If they have to make a good judgment call, I don't want them running it up the chain all the time for me to answer all those questions. That means I didn't trust them.
yeah
I want them to make a good judgment call and say why and go and do it. You may have a dollar threshold because of your own bank account.
hmm yeah
Set it. If you don't think that this is a mistake that's going to cost more than this, take it. Take the risk. Be in line with the following. Go for it, right? You've got the budget to learn. consider it a class. If you think it's bigger than that, then I want you to talk with me or with your leader, right? If you've got someone else that could teach them. But that may be a way to look at that. I love the way you're thinking. How do I hand more? And you know, you learned through the mistakes you made with customers. It wasn't because you were a genius. It was because of mistakes you made that have made you a genius in the space, right? A very wise one.
Yeah.
Let's let them learn and then keep working through. So that's one way to look at it. I'll throw one other thing, and maybe it'll be useful, maybe it won't be. But uh, I like to lead with questions with my team instead of answers. So they bring an issue, and I see red flags all over, right? And instead of saying, "Whoa, stop," I just pause and say, "Oh, why you've got this issue? What's your proposed solution?" Okay. And they know they have to come with the proposed solution, probably three options, and tell me why they're picking the one of the three they're picking. And if I think the reasoning's good enough, it's a B, I'm going to let them run with it unless it's mission critical. So I'm going to let them run with it. And then I'm going to have a meeting after and say, that was pretty good. How would you do it better? Because what I want them to go through is questions to think about how they would make things better, how they would improve, how they would grow. And I want them coming up with it. I don't want them saying, well, it was Kurt's idea. I want them to be their idea. I want them to take the risk and I want them to grow through it. So just lead through questions. And if I see
I like that.
that, if I think it's mission critical, then I'll stop and say, there's some information I may not have shared with you. Let me share it with you. Now that you know this, how would you approach it differently? And here's where you could find that kind of information in the future, right? How would you approach it differently? Go make a plan again. Those are for the big ones. For the little ones, run, run, right? I can't micromanage it. But for the big ones, I'm gonna have more time and lead with questions. So hopefully that's helpful for you as
Yeah.
you begin building them. You'll build pretty quickly people who can lead your business. That's a step in the operational side we're talking about. There's a strategic side to get them thinking that way too, that will be critical for you to be able to really hand off daily operations so you can just build the future. But great start. Wow. Kurt, thank you so much. I mean, for the gems you shared, you know, find those, get clear about who you serve and focus on them and bring them more and more value to really hit your target market. Don't go too broad. And then two, key relationships that can teach you the importance of how to best serve those customers or whatever other thing. Key relationships that more than just get a job done, that make you better just because you're a part of them. Those were just very valuable. Kurt, if there are listeners out there who could use your services or just want to connect, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah. PMGcom.com. So there's two COMs in there, is our website. My email address is kurt@pmgcom.com. Feel free to reach out. Love to help.
Fantastic. Thank you again. And this wraps up another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we explore the ins and outs of the seven figure journey. Uh, for all of you entrepreneurs out there who are still growing, learning, building, and trying to get to that 8 figure stage, keep striving, keep learning, keep caring, keep having impact. Until next time.